politics and tech in our country, your views on it. I think this was, we were talking backstage, and I think this was the first election where tech sort of got weaponized in a way that directly affected the outcome of the election, and I know you have stuff about it, but I have to ask you first.
Right.
Discounting all those outside forces, which were obviously very important, what misjudgment did you make and your staff that you, thinking about it, was something serious and that you wish you had done the opposite?
Well, you know, I'm writing a whole book, Walt, and
well, I don't want to wait for the book.
We don't probably have enough time for everything, but look, the overriding issue that affected the election that I had any control over, because I had no control over the Russians. Too bad about that, but we'll talk about it, I hope, was the way that the use of my email account was turned into, you know, the biggest scandal since Lord knows when. And, you know, in the book, I'm just using everything that anybody else said about it besides me to basically said this was the biggest nothing burger ever. It was a mistake. I've said it was a mistake. And obviously, if I got to turn the clock back, I wouldn't have done it in the first place. But the way that it was used was very damaging. So.
And you didn't handle it? That's a mistake on your part, or the way it was used was a mistake on your part? Because we're trying to get at what you think you misjudged.
Well, if you went all the way back, doing something that others had done before was no longer acceptable in the new environment in which we found ourselves. And there was no law against it, there was no rule, nothing of that sort. So I didn't break any rule, nobody said don't do this, and I was very responsible and not at all careless. So you end up with a situation that is then exploited, and very effectively, for adverse political reasons. And it was maddening, because in the middle of a hard-fought campaign, it's hard to stop and say, wait a minute, what you think you know about this is not accurate. Let me tell you, you can still judge me, you can still hold me accountable, that's fair game. But there was so much else going on at that time, and the investigation that they conducted ended in July. It was over, and I have my complaints about former Director Comey, but it was done. And then it was reignited, and it became the major reason toward the end, based on the best analysis that I can find, that I lost ground and ended up losing. So obviously, turn the clock back. But what was done, and I think it was interesting, I know you had Dean Baquet here from the New York Times yesterday, and they covered it like it was Pearl Harbor. And then in their endorsement of me, they said, this email thing, it's like a help desk issue. So it was always a hard issue to put to bed, but we put it to bed in July, and then it rose up again.